G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Off Ukraine War Update for the 7th of April 2026. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, and while the war continues, I'll continue to bring my unbiased coverage from both sides of the war. That said, there is not much war today to cover. It may look like there's a lot of war. There is definitely a lot of strikes on power facilities, tit-for-tat attacks. Ukraine attacked Donetsk, Russia attacked Odessa, Ukraine attacked Nikolaev, Russia attacked Kharkiv, they sent drone swarms towards Moscow, most of which were shot down before I think today all were shot down. Yeah, all were shot down except for a few that crashed into a chemical plant here. So Russia took out some power plants and then hit Kiev for fun. I seriously mean it. They didn't need to hit Kiev again. The power was already out. I think they attempted to hit the airport, but drones got shot down. Ukraine is, just like Russia, turning to guns and other means, including air power, to stop drones when power is out. Ukraine still will not admit that the pilot was killed in combat because they, according to his widow, they don't want to pay combat payout for death in combat. They died while ejected. Well, the truth is, his plane was struck on the ground, he ejected, but he got caught in the fireball, and yeah, not a pretty sight. And remember, he was a volunteer, allegedly, a Ukrainian from Sweden, allegedly. And yeah, his widow has allegedly gone silent after making pleas to be paid her proper due payment. What a shock. The whole world is gone crazy, gone evil for money. We have various engagements across the front. Yeah, Kharkiv got hit twice. Again, tit-for-tat attacks, and they'll continue every hour, on the hour, all through the night. Around 100 drones from each side every day from now on, it seems, until the tactics change again. Now, there's been a little progress here, almost none here. The Russians are pushing towards Borovka. It's generally believed that Russia's bogged down in Lyman, on the outskirts of Lyman again. They've made little progress here, not much. They're fighting here over Prevalence. No progress here, or some progress here, not much. It's like outskirts stuff. Again, backwards and forwards. Nothing really of consequence here. Nothing of consequence here. They're fighting on the outskirts of Belishki. They're still fighting in Roninsky. And they've taken most of Hernishki. Once they've taken the up to here and they control, they already control 2 bridges. They'll just come up through here with fire support from across the river. The Ukrainians are still holding on at the bridge, but they will eventually. The Russians are trying to move up through, but they're still bogged down on here. The Ukrainians are bogging them down too. So both sides are trying to bog down each other, Ukraine using its weight of numbers and Russia using its weight of drones and artillery. They've swallowed what was left here and here, and here nothing else of consequence has occurred on the front. Although they are back fighting here, that's about it. They hit Kharkiv lots with artillery. And apparently bombs from a stealth drone. The S-70 is back. The Hunter is back. As we can see, this, I believe, is not plastic. It may look plastic. It's silicon carbonate, I believe. And it's a silicon carbonate, silicon carbon fiber case. And around the jet, as you can see, separate from its carbon fiber body. You can see it's not as sophisticated as the Americans, and Russia seems to have taken a step back in its seamless welding, pressure welding for carbon fiber. I think they haven't got this manufacturing process down yet. They are working on it, although, as you can see, there seems to be rather shock on the face of the military as the technical director is explaining what you're asking for is impossible. But there's what the drone looks like without its paint job, and she's towed out, tracked it away to be painted. There's the black prototype model. That's the latest prototype, although this is a picture taken, for some reason it's property of Northrop Grumman. So I think this was when the drone was shown off at the Saudi Air Show, which is not the same Hunter. That's Hunter A, which was damaged. This is Hunter Model B, and you can see it, yeah. It's a lot better, and it looks a lot prettier, and it's a lot more smooth. And it does look like a swallow. But the B21, it's an eagle. You know it. You've seen the profile. All right, there you go. All right. There's the difference. All right, she has now two pilots. Okay, you have the pilot takeoff and landing and weapons specialist who monitors, you see, navigation and targeting. There's your weapons. As you see, she's got two bays. She's got a number of detections, and there's the map. So they're not. It's basically they have two instead of one doing the all the work, and she follows. Now there's they're showing off that Russia's improved its engines, but an engineer will tell you that looking externally at an engine will not tell you how many flight hours it can withstand unless they can identify the internals and see it after 1,000 hours and then monitor it and monitor it. And as stress starts to appear, they can go, well, this one's only going to last 1,000 hours on average before it needs parts. Whereas the Americans could get much further and much longer out of each engine. And I think no one's matched them so far, even with the fact that Russia's gotten hold of F-14s and F-16s and other drones through Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, crashes over the years, stolen parts, you name it. Russians have, and Chinese are the biggest buyers of your rubbish. And there's huge piles of rubbish from these big defense contractors. And so far they've learnt almost nothing. So there she's on her way to get a paint job. Though they are quite proud of their achievements. And I mean, if you'd gone from steam engines to electric trains, I suppose you would continually want to upgrade. And yeah, there's the molding process. Getting your plans on paper to show you that they don't trust computers either. And why would they? Everyone's hacking everything nowadays. It's not just See, this is the thing. Russia's been hacked more by its allies, by China and North Korea, than it is by the West. I mean, the West wants a peek to know what you're up to, but that's about it. And where you're going. So you got the standard pilot touchscreen, multi-screening. You got proved on the wingtips. You see those little things on the wingtips, the way they're angled up. They're called wick discharges. These take the static discharge and break it up. Now the reason why it's focused like that is because the plane actually does fly at an angle, and it doesn't want to create sound amplifiers fire, which would give high visibility and high radar detection. It wants to discharge it as quickly as it can before it even builds up to visibility. Static electricity can make you visible on a radar, apparently. These are the ordnance. These are glide bombs, although they do look like a cruise missile. These are the new experimental Mark IIs. So carries 2 of these babies, and takeoff weight includes the craft, the fuel, and 2 of these babies. Although one is apparently an anti-ship missile and the other one's more a land cruise missile. What's the difference? The anti-ship missile performs a pop-up maneuver and attacks from overhead, where the standard missile is more like a glide bomb, and there it is without the glide. And this is target training, not combat training. I don't think ads. Don't you just love how they interrupt you? Alright, so there it is. They train the AI autopilot to basically lock onto the aircraft and and they have the pilots. Yeah, they're using the main craft as an escort to and as auxiliary sensors and a wingman. So most of the AI has been ditched in favour of 2 pilots by the looks of it. Again, some of this is old footage and there's the new footage. They are, as you can see, those lines and the horizon lines and markers, they are training in AI. But they've ditched, for now, autonomy, where it's still in pilot control. The whole idea is this could go in, identify its target, carry out a precision strike with either 4 standard dog bombs or 2 large high explosive ordnance, or carry a large single anti-ship missile. It is a multi-role attack. And there's the Su-57, again another prototype. Not much respect for the craft. That was, but it doesn't have there's even the dumb bombs. It's a laser guided. So that's about it for the return of the Onsk, the Hunter. The Hunter returns. Not much of a change, I think, to the battlefield. Oh, what's happened here? BBC, I thought I'd shut you down. Right. Alright. The Forgotten War. The Forgotten Soldiers of the War, because you died the wrong way. Ukraine has a disturbing and distressing problem. And it's not just soldiers, it's also civilians. It's believed that as many as 300,000 have self-deleted. Some because they were no longer deemed fit to fight and were cut off. Others was reset back to the front, retrained and sent back to the front line. And people mourn the losses, but they're not allowed to talk about the losses. 650 days without answers for some people. Others, they're not allowed to talk about it. About how their husband died, and was he not a hero? He fought, he did his time, but the war took its toll anyway. And for the women who truly loved their husbands, it is just as devastating as if they had died in combat. And this is where I truly believe this war has taken a dark turn, and it's no longer about Ukrainians fighting to ethnically cleanse the Donbass, because these soldiers aren't fighting for their homes, they're fighting for the illusion that the government has sold them a false bill of goods, and most of the world believes But it's starting to question the narrative. And more and more people questioning the narrative. Why? Well, Will Lloyd got into trouble with the BBC. But he is a journalist. He has been uninvited from the BBC. But he has his own publication anyway. He's an editor. What's the name of the publication again? He didn't publish it in his own publication. That's the interesting part. He gave an interview, I forget who with, if it was the Economic Times or not, but he made an outrageous claim that Ukraine's population has collapsed. Right? Back in 2014, the last census had about 40 million. This was down by 2 million since 1991. And he projected that by 2025 that it would fall to 20 million. And the other day he said he's been proven right. Russia republished his article, and he's left-leaning, by the way. He's not right-wing. He was a Ukrainian supporter, and I think in some parts he may still be. But Reuters has also now confirmed Ukraine faces a demographic crisis back in December last year. And Ukraine is a nation of widows or orphans, according to the CNN. And that there's been a massive decline in the male population. That since the invasion, there's been high mortality. A lot of people aren't getting proper health care. A lot of people, millions have lost. Birth rates have collapsed to less than a few hundred a year. Less than a few hundred a year. It's a nation of millions. It's not that they're having sex. It's just women aren't getting pregnant, or you know what they're doing, right? They said 180,000. According to Ukraine Pravda, they say 180 births. 280 deaths for every 100 births. The Ukraine Pravda actually said it wasn't 180,000. I believe it was 180. The 1,000 was added by the government later. Ukraine Pravda, so puts the Ukrainian population down by 10 million. Other reports say it is lower, but UN even says it'll drop to 25 million. Lloyd is considered the lowest projection, but he made his projection back in 2014. But he said recently he was right. That it's lower than this. It's lower than 28. In some reports it is much lower. That there are entire towns that they go back to, and they'll go to a town, find people there, they come back later and they're all gone on a one-way trip. The winter is the biggest cause of civilian deaths with power outages, which they blame on Russia, but that's convenient. Not everything can be blamed on Russia. But Zelensky knows Russia's effective. Russia's strikes on energy infrastructure is getting more and more effective. He's promised to stop attacking Russian infrastructure. What did he do shortly? Shortly after making the statement, he attacked a chemical plant, civilian chemical plant, that resulted in deaths. And it wasn't the only one. It was a paint factory, which he claimed is a military paint factory. Now, Ukrainian drones have attacked a Novorossiysk, which is owned by the Caspian Pipeline Consortium, which is predominantly American, and is in Kazakhstan. Oil from Kazakhstan, not from Russia. Russia gets paid, but Zelensky says it's a military target. It fuels the Russian war machine. No, it doesn't. This is just economic blackmail. And, of course, as you know, Russia struck back, tit for tat, and then Zelensky went, not fair. No, you can't attack someone and then call for a truce and then expect them to not retaliate, right? You got If you want the attacks to stop, you have to be the first one to make the move. Okay, Zelensky? No one trusts you in Russia. Now, Indian court has detained Ukrainian and American mercenaries. These were... India has had a big problem with one-way trips for its nationals. A lot of the casualties in Ukraine, 50,000 mercenaries, fighting Russia. Every time they're captured by Russia, they are returned to India and they're prosecuted and put to jail. But they've now identified the recruiters and gone after and put them on permanent detention as a threat to national security. Whereas Germany, they're not talking about diversity anymore. They're talking about war. Although they're saying they want to increase the amount of it. It's just to increase the army by 2035. Yeah. Anybody believe it? Yeah, I didn't think so either. However, the majority of Syrian goods must return home, says Mertz. The Syrian ambassador wasn't happy. Well, you got no choice, buddy. They're your citizens. We're not responsible for them. Now, Ukraine's manpower crisis. Now, you may ask, well, if there's such a manpower crisis, why isn't Russia taking advantage? Well, you heard about the recruitment of women, right? And foreign mercenaries. Ukraine has been able to make up for its manpower loss of around 500,000 personnel. Not all combat deaths. A lot of them, around 300,000, are one-way trips. In fact, it's now believed the leading cause of death in Ukraine is one-way trips, not combat deaths. But they're saying abandon their posts. Yeah, Ukraine does not officially list their suicide as a combat death and instead puts them as AWOL and will not pay them. They're missing in action. Well, we heard that before. Missing in action, never found. People with little or no training have been rounded up by recruitment officers and pushed to the front line after formalities. What's the formality? Find them a uniform and a gun and a cut lunch, and off they go. They don't even get a hot meal. Logistically, they are facing many deficits, including basic gear. Britain is trying to fly in equipment every day, so is America and Poland. They just can't get enough made to keep up with the damage and losses. But for now, there you go. How do you make up for the loss of men? Radicalized women. The final frontier. Equality! No. You think it's equality? No, they're military-related jobs. They're paramedics, IT specialists, and other jobs. So if you thought you were a communications officer and you were safe in a bunker, suddenly you find yourself with 12 women in your training team and you think this is going to be great. I got 12 women under my... And then you wake up the next day and you're in the back of a truck. Welcome to the front line as they drag you off the truck. Yeah. Territorial recruitment centres have launched a shadowy new tactic. This is where they use women to lure men into what they think is a short-term deployment, and then they find out, it's the meat grinder. Based on experts, the number of manpower losses varies. Some put it currently at 200,000. Abandoned their position since 2022. So where's the rest of the numbers come from? Well, AWOL and desertions. They're separate. And of course the difference is, right, failure to mobilise, and as many as 2 million have now failed to mobilise. So every year, thousands fail to report. So what happens? They go to the next person on the list. If Joe Blow doesn't show up, they go to Belinsky, then Doninsky, etc. They just keep going. They can't afford to search out these men. And millions, many have, as many as 300,000 have died attempting to leave Ukraine. Died, I mean, they've drowned in the rivers because if they try to cross the border, they either step on a landmine or get shot. Or if they get caught before they get to a refugee camp, they're sent back. and often sent to the front line without. This is the meat grinder, and of course we saw what happened, right? How many died in the failed Kursk offensive, and many other failed offensives. Your government is forcing new penalties and to draft dodgers, but increasingly the number of the difference in the number is estimated around 300,000 self-deletions in that period. But again, the reason why the front lines haven't collapsed is because they still got people to fall back on, and Ukraine is using the numbers. They want to increase their army to 2 million by the end of 2027. They're not going to make it. The bleeding will continue. This is now a men's rights issue, not a war issue. It's not about the defense of Ukraine anymore. This is about the state wanting to stay in power because they can't win over the people. Thank you for watching, because they've gotten addicted to handling millions of dollars without oversight. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.